Hello again. One of my favorite food combination is strawberries and rhubarb. Ooh! We have one rhubarb plant and it's been plenty for us. We've had it about 40 years, so I just use it off and on all summer. We are going to make a strawberry rhubarb fool. Now that's what it's called in England. It involves pureed fruit and heavy cream or whipping cream. Not a lot of ingredients, but there's a few steps. This is pretty foolproof, really. And I have doubled this recipe easily. But Martin's out of town, and I don't want too much of this sitting around because I love rhubarb and strawberry. So the ingredients are, I'm going to cut up a half a cup of rhubarb. You can use frozen. I'm going to have 2 tablespoons plus 1.5 teaspoons of sugar. You divide those. 1.5 teaspoons of water, 1/2 cup sliced fresh strawberries, and 1/3 cup heavy whipping cream, or whipping cream you call it. That's too many strawberries, you're right. I get to eat the rest of them. So this is very easy. It's going to make a dessert for 2 or maybe 3 because it is quite rich to me. I'm not used to a lot of sweets. I'm going to have a saucepan too with which I'm going to make my rhubarb syrup. So let me get going. Now, cutting up rhubarb. I have friends that take all the outside off. I have friends that take just the hard parts off. That's where I usually stand. This is pretty young, so I don't think I'll need to do much. It just makes it so the strings aren't there. See how that comes off? See? I just take that off. Then if I'm feeling frisky, I do this. Too. And you can even remove that, but you're really skinning that down to nothing. So let me do another one. And no, I do not sit around with my friends talking about how to cut up rhubarb. We have more to talk about than that. There, Martin's up at the cabin, so I'm going to try to get a few videos done. Now for 2 of these, you only need a 1/2 cup. That is not much. So I really have too much rhubarb here, but I'm going to cut it up anyway. Plenty out in the garden. And you know, a rhubarb plant is not taking up too much room. Let's put it aside, and I need 1/2 cup, which is not much. Now I'm going to put this in a saucepan with sugar and water and bring it to a little boil and then let it simmer for about 10 minutes, and you will end up with the rhubarb all soft and mushy, and you will have, once it's cool, a nice rhubarb. I call it syrup. It's wonderful. I used about 4 stalks of rhubarb. They weren't real big stalks, but I used 4 stalks. Now I want to tell you something else. When I make this, you can double this easily and put 1/2 of it in the recipe and save the other 1/2 to drizzle on. It would be great drizzled on ice cream or something. This is 1/2 cup though. That's what I'm going to use in this recipe. This is my 1/2 cup of strawberries cut up. Now you can cut them up small because you're going to puree these. 1/2 cup of strawberries. I have a small saucepan here which we're going to make the rhubarb syrup in. So in this small saucepan, I've got it heating up. I put out that 1/2 cup of fresh rhubarb or frozen. I put in the 2 tablespoons of sugar. I'm going to use the 1.5 teaspoons for the strawberry. And then I add 1.5 teaspoons of water. Now you need to watch this, and you want it just hot enough so it comes to a boil. And then you let it simmer for about 10 minutes. The reason you hang around this is you do not want it to burn. If it burns, it pretty much ruins the whole shebang. That happens with a lot of things. You don't want it to burn. So I'm just going to leave this and toy with it until it comes to a boil, and then I'll let it simmer. And I will continue to stir it often. You can see it's come to a boil, and I'm just going to let it simmer like this. I turned it down. And I'll just keep poking at it. This is about halfway through the 10 minutes, and see, it's softened up a lot. There's no longer the hard chunks, but I'm going to let it keep going for the full 10 minutes. This is my rhubarb sauce after 10 minutes. See, it's like almost like a jam. See that? And I would easily double this. I just wanted to give you a single recipe, but on my own, I would double this. Very easy to do, just a little more rhubarb. I'm going to stick this in the fridge for a couple minutes and let it cool. It's got to be cooled all the way. One thing I need to do while that is cooling is, you remember these strawberries? Well, you have to puree, I guess you say puree, you have to puree them. I don't have one of those food processors. I don't have room for it. My kitchen isn't that big, but it gets everything done in here. So I use one of these. If you have to do it 2 times because you have too many strawberries, do it. But that's what it looks like when you pureed strawberries. If you remember, this was the strawberries and sugar, and that's what it looks like pureed. As that cools, there's one more thing to do. You need to whip the whipping cream. So all you do is put it in a bowl, get your mixer out, put it on high, and let it rip. This does not take long, and see, it's all whipped. Now I hear it, and I don't want to hear about it in my comments. No, you can't use Cool Whip instead of whipping cream. If you use Cool Whip instead of whipping cream, who would be the fool then? No, 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 that's another dish. You're making something else. Use heavy cream in this. I have here my raspberry syrup and my pureed strawberries. My whipped cream. Now you add these to the dish. First I'm going to add the strawberries. No particular reason. Just kind of fold it in. Look at that. Can you taste that? Now I'm going to put in the raspberry syrup, which really is like a jam once it's set. Kind of work it around. This is so good in the summer. Oof. I'm all about light and creamy in the summer. I'm just about done here, and I've just folded it in, gently stirred it, and this is ready to go into the serving cups. This is going to go in the refrigerator for a little while to let it set up. Now, as I said, this is originally a 2-person dessert, but since I'm here alone, I divided it up in 3 ways. Strawberry Raspberry Fool. You can't go wrong. This will be so good later. It was in the 50s yesterday, and on Monday it's going to be 96. Welcome to Northern Illinois. Strawberry Raspberry Fool. Try it and double up the syrup. It tastes real good if you pour it on top of that or on ice cream. Keep cool. Bye-bye.